Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody had a good Merry Christmas. Um, and well, we're having it's Christmas Eve right now. So in a couple hours, it'll be 2025, right? That's a crazy number. 2025. It's going to be a good year, right? It's going to be a year of getting uncomfortable, right? Um, a year of sticking to the work, no matter what. Another year of opportunity, right? So this video will be about turbo exposures. This is something that I've used in my journey. I've tweaked it, made it my own. That's why I call it turbo exposure. It's the reason why it's called turbo exposure. It's using exposure, but really condensed and quick, right? Instead of like doing the drawn out exposure session, this is like a blitz. Go, 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 like crazy, right? And the reason why I use turbo exposures, why I used it many times, was because if you're doing your visuals, you're dealing with you're having a meeting with yourself, right? You're getting all set up, and your brain keeps hijacking you, and you're not able to get into visuals or have that meeting with yourself or feel the feelings or whatever it is that you're trying to do that for that moment, because your brain is just constantly, right, trying to get your attention to something that you've been dealing with yesterday or the week. Or for me, I had the everyday alarms, and then I had the big six that took the full 3 years for them to fuck off, right? But then you get these daily annoying ones that you deal with, and you might be trying to get into visuals, but you can't, especially in the beginning, because you're in a survival state. That gate isn't fully open, so it's hard. You're going to struggle either way, no matter what. The beginning of this journey is you're facing resistance. No matter where you go, it feels like you're moving up a mountain in flip-flops, and it's you got magma coming at you, and you gotta, right? It's everywhere you go, there's resistance. So when you're trying to do your visuals and you're in an alarm state that's at a 10 out of 10, your brain's constantly going, no, but this thing over here, like, no, you gotta, no, put the, no, your attention has to go to this alarm here, right? It's really trying to get your attention. It's doing its job, and it's doing an amazing job, right? And sometimes you need a tool to help you bring that alarm state, whatever thought, feeling, symptom, right? You could be looping on a new symptom that's just popped up that day or that week, or a situation, or just a looping thought, or a doubt, right? Some sort of doubt thought that you're having, and you're not able to get into the visuals, right? You're just wasting a lot of time. In the beginning, you're going to waste a lot of time on the visuals, right? You might have 5 to 10 good quality minutes out of that hour. And that's just the way it is in the beginning. But you got to do it anyway for that. That's why we need the full hour, right? We need the full hour because the delays are included in that. And then eventually, when the baseline starts to come down, because you did all the failing, for months and months and months, and you did maybe 5-10 minutes of good visuals, eventually it comes down far enough that you're actually going to enjoy your visuals, and you're going to actually flow in them. You're going to have a nice flow, right? It's going to be like, oh man, I love visuals. I like doing that. I actually feel something. I feel like I am sitting in dose. And that's the whole point of visuals, to bring the baseline down and to introduce a new program of ease and get out of the old program of dis-ease and chaos and survival. That's the point of the visual, to make you to sit in the dose. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, for eventually an hour a day. In the beginning, it'll be 5-10 minutes, if that. That's why you got to do them. That's why you got to do them every day, so you can get to that point where you're in a nice flow, right? And then eventually, you're going to start getting golden nuggets of clarity from your higher self. These amazing downloads that help you along your journey, right? Things that are just eureka moments, holy fucking shit moments, right? That are just going to give you clarity There's synchronicity moments that it's like, yes, you're on the right track. Yes, you're doing it. See, everything just is lining up now. And those are powerful also. But in order to get there or to have those downloads, you gotta start somewhere, and you gotta be consistent and do it every day. And it can be a challenge, and that's why turbo exposures are a great way to bring, your, let's say that day you're sitting at a 10 out of 10, right? Your alarms are going crazy. Like for me, it was every day, but right, so like they're relentlessly sticky. So one of the good tools is doing a turbo exposure, right? Exposure on turbo. So that we can bring it down to like a 5, so you can do the work, right? You can have a meeting with yourself, right, and do the visuals, right? Feel it first right off the bat. You're getting organized. You're like, okay, I got to do this here, put that there. I've been slacking with this. That's something I can improve on. Okay, what's the goal? That get my calendar right. We're doing this today. Blah blah blah. Okay, let's get started. There's some things I'm still dealing with that are bugging me from yesterday. Right, this thought came up. This doubt. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have an allow and engage session. I'm going to feel the feelings. Right, you have your notepad there. You're expressing yourself while you're feeling the feelings. So you're like, okay, limbic system, show me what you got. Show me the fear. What do we gotta allow? So the brain's gonna send you something. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't like that. That's bugging me. I don't feel good with that. Ugh, it feels like shit. That's scary. Doubt, whatever it is. Okay, Limby, bring it forward. Let me allow that. Let me feel it. So you're fully feeling it. Right? You breathe into it, lean into it, allow it in all its ugliness. Let that face come out and express itself. Let it do its thing. Let that symptom be there. Let it do its thing. Let it be ugly. Let it hurt. Let it make you think that you're going crazy, or that it means that this is going to explode, or that's going to happen, or you might never feel better again, or is this an indicator that you're stuck, or could this be a what if thought about something really big? Right? Allow that to run wild. Let it do its thing. Whatever feelings you have, let them pass through your chest, your throat, right? Whatever fear it is, let it pass through your chest, to your throat, and now you're back. You feel the feelings authentically, fully. If it's anger, right? Feel that anger. Fear, it's most likely fear, right? Let it do its thing, and then you engage and you get into your visuals. But what happens is sometimes we can't even get into our visuals because it's just not enough, because your brain is throwing you loops. It's freaking out, right? You're having what if thoughts of doubt. Okay, so we use turbo exposures, right? Exposures on turbo. I got to find a better way to call it. Exposures on turbo. I think that's pretty good. Okay. And what do you do? This is what I did, right? What you want to do is you want to take what's bugging you, right? And it's usually something that we don't like. Of course, any alarm, the point of an alarm is to get your attention. So it's going to be something that's scary, it triggers the shit out of you, makes you shake, makes you, lose your mind. So what I did is I used my phone, right? I used my telephone, my cell phone, and I pressed record. Everybody's got like a record app usually in their phone, right? Instead of writing it down, like some people, you're supposed to write it down, whatever it is that freaks you out, write it down 15 times in a row, right? But for me, that takes longer. Sitting there writing with a pen on a paper, that's too old school, right? For me, I want to get right to, I want to get right to it. So I speak it, just like I do with my visuals, right? I speak it into my phone. I press record. So it could be anything that scares you, right? It could be a description of something physical, a doubt, whatever it is that's fucking making you ruminate, analyze, try to fix. It's taking all your attention away when you should be focusing on doing the work, right? Whatever that thing is, write a paragraph in your, well, picture you're writing the paragraph in detail about what scares the shit out of you, right? And the goal is to get triggered, and the goal is to get very detailed. So instead of writing it, what I did is I would speak it into the recorder, right, 15 times in a row, right? And you want to get detailed. So let me give you a really shitty example, because I can't think of one right now. Maybe I'll give you two examples. One first example would be, right, I'm recording it. Go, all right, I have a fear of walking into a field because I'm scared that I'm going to be bitten by a tick. Then I'm going to have to do this whole journey all over again, because that means I'm going to get Lyme disease, and they're going to put me on antibiotics. And I'm scared of antibiotics because I react to them. And I'm going to be on this journey all over again. It's going to take me forever, right? So that's detailed, that's scary, and repeat that by 15 times. So I'm going to try to repeat that a bunch of times here. So just assume they're 15 times. I'm scared of going into a field because there's so many bugs there, and I'm afraid that the tick's going to bite me. I'm going to get Lyme disease. I'm going to have to do this whole mind-body thing all over again. I'm going to be bedridden again because I'm going to have to go on antibiotics, and Lyme disease is scary. I'm scared of going into a field. I'm scared of going and walking into a field with my dog because I don't want to get bitten by a tick and have to go through this whole journey all over again with this mind-body thing and doing the work, right? And having to go on antibiotics and be in the hospital, right? And be sick with Lyme disease, right? I'm scared of fields because I'm scared I'm going to be bitten by a tick or a bug, and I'm going to get sick, and I'm going to have to go on antibiotics, and I'm going to have to do this whole mind-body thing. I'm going to get Lyme disease, right? So that was like 4 or 5. So the point is, do 15, record it, right? And know that when you're doing this, you're going to feel triggered, right? It's going to be like your alarm system's going to go to 10, and you're going to be like, right, shaky, your body's shaky, your hand, if you're probably be like, oh, because you're bringing up the alarm, right? You're going, come here, alarm, show your face, show me your fear, show me everything. We're going to let you do your thing. We're going to watch you. We're going to give you your time to do your thing, to ring the alarm. And that means you're going to feel triggered, scared, right? When you open that door, behind that door is that alarm, and it's scary. That's what we want. And we're going to talk about it in detail 15 times. Why 15 times? Because you're doing turbo exposure. You're exposing yourself to that detail, right? You want to be as detailed as possible because you want to scare yourself shitless, right? 15 times. And then you did it 15 times. You're listening. Then I want you to feel the alarms. Feel what's going on in your body. Go, oh shit. Ask yourself, where am I at? I'm at a 10 out of 10. I'm in a 10 alarm state right now. Feel it. This is the exposure, right? We're changing our response. We're sending a message of safety while being in the danger. We're not having a freak out. We're not going, oh my God, I can't. Right? You're not sending a message of danger in the danger. You're allowing the thoughts, right? You're surrendering to it, letting them do their thing, right? You're sitting in the fear, right? That alone, just sitting in the fear and doing nothing is enough of a message of safety. That's all you have to remember, right? You want to bring up the alarm to 10. And then after you felt it, after maybe a minute or two, you go engage. You engage back into your routine because you have a calendar there, right? And you're sticking to your routine daily. So it could be, oh, I was just about to go to the grocery store. I did this in the car. Now I can go to the grocery store and buy the lettuce or the whatever I got to buy. And then I can do my visuals. And then I can come home and chop some vegetables, do some prep work, cook some food. And then after that, you know what? I'm going to do another exposure on turbo session. So this time you get the recording out, right? And you press play. And it's going to scare the shit out of you because this time you're not speaking it. You're just listening, right? And the brain is going to be like, whoa, I just said, oh man, I wasn't expecting. Oh, the surprise factor. And you know, while you're recording, make it interesting. Say some things that later on are gonna trigger you. Give it the surprise factor, because surprise little bombs that you set actually are they're bigger opportunities. When you get like kind of shocked with like, oh, I can't believe, oh, that's, oh, right. When you get those, when you don't expect something, but you send the right message afterwards, you allow it after, it has a bigger impact in changing the alarm state and updating. Believe it or not, surprises are good. You want surprises. Exposure surprises are the best. Okay, so you're listening, right? You're doing round two. This is your round two. You're listening to it, right? You're triggered. You're like, oh fuck, oh man, whew, how am I ever going to be indifferent to this? This is crazy. I don't believe this exposure works, because I'm scared even worse now, right? You're going to feel scared. You have to. And then you notice, okay, where are you at? Okay, feel the feelings, of course. Okay, now engage, but where am I at? I'm probably at a 9.5. Okay, right? Continue with your day, and then near the end of the day, do it again, right? And then the next day, do it again, right? So you keep doing these turbo exposures to bring the alarm state from a 10, right, to a 5, to a 3, whatever. And you can use this whenever you want. For me, I used it that day because I had alarms that day that I needed to bring down so I could do my visuals. So I would do the 15-time thing. I'd allow it. I'd feel triggered. I'd allow it. And then I would engage. And then 5 minutes later, I would do it again. Another 15 minutes, right? And then same thing. Feel the feelings, engage, and do it again, right? 10 minutes later, be like, let's do it again. So I probably did it like 30 times-ish. And my brain went from a 10 to a 5 alarm state because I did the turbo exposures. And I was able to do my visuals a lot easier, because that's the goal. At the end of the day, do whatever it takes so that you can do the work. If you got to do some avoidance behaviors, if you got to manage, right, cope, right, use what you got to use to do the work. It's only temporary. Eventually, you will get off of anything that you're using as a coping mechanism. But the goal is to be doing the work. That's the goal. And turbo exposures is a good way to bring your alarm state down so that you can do the work. That's what I did. And it works pretty good, because eventually, you're saying it, you've been saying it, that detailed, little paragraph, you're at like number 28, and your brain starts to get bored, right? And you start to fumble on your words, and you start saying it differently, and you start saying it funny, and you start laughing. You're like, oh man, I'm so bored of that thought. I'm very indifferent to that thought now. 9 times out of 8, when I did turbo exposures, that thought would go from a 10 to a 1.5 to a 0, usually, where I'd be like, I'm meh, don't give a shit, meh, right? I was Aaron Neville. Meh, meh, don't know much about this thought. I'm indifferent, right? Not me, because I use turbo exposure, right? And shit works. Exposure works for everything. See, with the pillars here that we have, exposure is just disguised in different ways. Exposure is everything. It's like the number one key to recovery, right? It's like when you do visuals, you're doing exposure in a way, because you're facing things even though you're doing it to feel good or sit and dose. The brain's going to send you doubt, because it's like let's say, for example, I get this question a lot. I don't like doing exposures, Helmut, because when I do exposures, visuals, when I do visuals of the future, my brain gives me doubt, because it's a reminder of what I can't do, right? I'm limited on certain things physically, or I can't go to certain places because of my ABC symptoms. And if I talk about the future with my visuals, because I'm trying to sit and dose and feel good, my brain go, oh, don't even go there. You will never heal. You will be sick for life, right? And then when you get those doubts, they make you feel worse. So I avoid visuals. because they make me feel worse. And I tell them, yes, that's going to happen. But you need to keep going. You need to keep saying, we're doing this, right? We're going to move out west, live in a beautiful home near the mountains and the lakes. And you're going to be hiking with the dogs constantly. And the brain goes, no, you won't. You'll never be able to do that. You'll never be able to afford a place like that because you're going to be on disability because you're sick and you're ill. You're going to get worse, right? That's what the brain's going to do. It's going to sabotage you and cockblock you because that good stuff is a reminder. It's a reminder contrast of what you will never get. And that hurts. It's like, oh, I don't want to feel like that anymore. I'm not going to do visuals, right? But what I'm saying is, yes, do the visuals anyway, because it's a opportunity to do exposure to those doubts. So you allow those doubts to be there while you're doing the exposure. I mean, visual. It's a form of exposure, right? And you do them every day, no matter what. You're doing your visuals, right? Those doubts come up, right? You keep doing them. You change your response. You allow them instead of resisting them, and then you engage, right? And in a couple of months, those doubts will stop because eventually the brain will be like, he's allowed them. He allowed the doubts, right? And when he did the visuals and he didn't stop doing the visuals, it was also a form of exposure. You gave the alarm. It's time that it needed to be heard, and it was able to move on, right? So visuals is a form of exposure also. Visuals has a lot of different it has a lot of different things that it does, right? It's there to bring your baseline down. It's there to also get you in tune with your higher self. It's there as a form of exposure, right? There's a lot of reasons why we do visuals because there's a lot of benefits to it, right? And then when you allow and engage, when you allow something, that's a form of exposure. When you go engage in life and you bring it along with you, it's a form of exposure because you're sending a message of safety while that thing is around. So you're showing it. No, we're safe. I'm going to bring you with me, right? I'm going to go engage in life. I'm going to bring you with me, right? You're allowing it to be around with exposure. When you're lifting your mood, well, that's just lifting your mood, right? And then there's just exposure in stages, right? That's just exposure. What else is there? Preparation, putting all the research on the shelf, routine. That's a form of exposure also, because you're going to keep sticking to a routine while things come up, but you're allowing them to come up. So there's all these opportunities in the 9 pillars for things to come up and to be acknowledged, right? And let them do their thing while you continue engaging. And then there's movement in nature, right? A lot of opportunities for things to come up there for exposure, right? So turbo exposures, use them when you need them, so you're not wasting too much time being stuck with the thoughts and the symptoms and the what if thoughts and the analyzing and all that stuff. Great tool, and I use it a lot, right? Don't be worried if you're using it too much. Use it whenever you need it. I'll give another example. Let's see. Let's say for me, one of my biggest alarm thoughts was, is this gut issue that I'm feeling right now? I got the stabbing pain here. I got these random pains in my gut. It feels like I got bricks in my belly. I feel nauseous. I feel, big pressure in my gut. My gut's stuck, pushed out. A lot of what if thoughts with that, especially if you've already been dealing with gut issues and they've traumatized you, and you have food sensitivities, and you have all kinds of weird things in the toilet happening, right? Which is another thing. Don't look in the toilet, right? So one of the things that I had was like, oh shit, you need to go to the hospital. I think this time it's real. You need to go. You might be having a blockage, or I think I'm having a flare, diverticulitis. I think I'm gonna have something's gonna leak out. Something's gonna explode. I think I'm gonna have an infection, and if I ignore it, this is different. This is real. This is right. I was dealing with this every day. these thoughts and these symptoms. And the brain would, when it wanted to get my attention, it would mimic all the things I was scared of. Right. And I had flares constantly because of my journey, because I was in a survival state. So, you know, for me to be able to do my routine and the work in this wind of chaos, constant, right, every day, I had to do some turbo exposures to help it. So I'm like, okay, this pain thing, whatever, or this thought, it wouldn't even, sometimes I wouldn't have any pain at all. And I was in the shower and this thought would come in. Helmet, I think you're going to have ulcerative colitis flare, or you're going to have some sort of gut issue coming up, or another diverticulitis thing happening, or something crazy is going to happen in your gut, right? It doesn't even have to be a gut. It could be anything. But I'm just going to use a gut for an example. So a thought would pop up in the shower, and I'd be like, oh, fuck, here we go. There goes my day. And this happened every morning, right? Sometimes I could feel my brain looking for what it's going to plague me with. I'm like, oh, no thoughts. No looping thoughts yet. But I could feel it searching, right? I'm like, okay, here it comes. I know it. I can feel it. I can feel the pressure. It's scanning for a thought. And then, I get out of the shower, it found something. And I'd be like, fuck, now I'm going to be looping on that all day. Okay, let's do this. Allow it, let it do its thing. Oh, this one's pretty scary though. Oh man. I would look kind of like the corner of the bathroom. I'll be like, this one's pretty, how am I going to neutralize this? Right? First thing, you allow it, let it do its thing, and go, I'm going to have to hit it with some turbo exposures when we get in the car. So I get to the car, right? We go park. I get my water, right? And then let's say it's saying that this thing's going to explode. I'm like, all right, get the phone out, press record. I'm scared that this thing that I'm feeling in my gut is going to explode. I'm going to have to go to the hospital. They're going to have to do surgery again. And I'm going to have to go through all this journey of recovery all over again. Part 2. Number 2, I'm worried that I have something with my gut that I need to go to the hospital and get surgery again. And I'm going to have to go on antibiotics, and I'm going to have to do this whole healing thing again and start doing mind body work and start from the beginning. Number 3, right? So you're repeating it in the phone, right? Where's my phone? Same shit, just like the one that I talked about being in the field. This one is a gut shit, right? I'm scared that it's gonna they're gonna have to do surgery, and they're gonna put me under, which I'm scared about being put under, right? Be detailed. And you're repeating this 15 times. You're triggered, right? You go right to the root of it if you need to. Sometimes it helps if you go, okay, what next? Why are you scared of this? What's the real reason? Oh, I'm scared of going to the hospital. But why? Because if I'm in the hospital, they're going to put me under. But why? Because then I might die. Okay, what else? I'm scared that if I go to the hospital, they're going to put me under IV antibiotics. Why? Why are you scared of that? Well, because I might react, and I'm going to have to, it's going to fuck up my nervous system again, and then my biome's going to go out of whack, and I'm going to have to do this work all over again. It's going to be, so what's wrong with doing the work? What's going to be a long process again? What's wrong with a long process? Because I'm never going to get out of this. Well, so what if it takes another 3 years? Well, then, I'm never going to get that job and save that money to go out west and live live the life of my dreams, and everything's going to be delayed, and my wife's going to leave me, and my friends, I won't be that dad. Like, there's got to be some sort of time limit here. I got to fucking live life. I don't want to be doing this for another 18 years. Right. So if you dig deep, you can usually find the root alarm. Go, why? You ask why. What else? What's the real reason? Go deeper and deeper. Bring it up, record it, say it 15 times, listen to it, get scared, have the shakes, feel the feelings, and then engage in life, right? And use this whenever you need, because it does cut out that energy so that you can do the work. And eventually in the future, right, the more we allow, the more we do the 9 pillars, right, we do the work, eventually the baseline comes down, you get less alarms, right, and then you start to have peace. And then when you get peace up here, the body follows suit, right? Symptoms start to fuck off, right? And everything just starts to heal. You get your life back. All those doubts, those core beliefs change on their own. You don't need to change them. You don't have to change your core beliefs. They will change on their own. When you allow the core beliefs to be there, allow the doubts, allow whatever it is to be there and to tell you, because core beliefs equals core alarms. That's all they are. Core beliefs are just alarms, right? They're these beliefs that you're in a survival state. So, right, you got these alarm orbs, and your beliefs are from these orbs, right? Because they have this, there's this element of danger. So you're like, so you create these beliefs around them, right? But eventually when you do the work and this goes away, your beliefs start to reset and change. And then you can decide what kind of beliefs you want to change them into, right? Because they're not going to be hijacked by these alarms anymore. So you're neutralized, which is, what does that even feel like? How would anybody know unless they've done the work? And then you can't understand what it's like and believe that it's going to shift. I know it's like the one thing that I had troubles with, believing that. How am I ever not going to believe what I'm believing now? How is that ever going to shift? How am I going to be indifferent and bored? How am I ever going to be the guy that forgets what symptoms I had? It happens. When you recover, you forget all the symptoms that you had. You forget what it's like to be in that constant state of survival. Right? This is real shit. Like, I know it's impossible when you're in the thick of it, because you're constantly being reminded of those, those looping thoughts are constantly reminding you of danger. But trust that in time, if you keep being consistent, doing the work every day, the baseline will come down. And when the baseline comes down, the alarm state starts to calm. And when that happens, the thoughts start to calm down, right? And you have peace, you have quiet. And the symptoms go away. And it just happens. It's crazy. It's amazing. And you start appreciating the small things in life. Going to the grocery store is like the best thing in the world because you have freedom in your mind, right? The little things that you used to not care about, you think are the best thing. Little things, eating a cookie or fucking, taking out the garbage. You're like, oh, let's take out the garbage, man. This is right. Let's go to the grocery store and buy some milk. Oh my God, I can't wait let's go for a drive. Let's do it. When before you were, right, just surviving and everything was chaos. Or before that, you took everything for granted and everything was you were just miserable and angry. That was me. Now it's like, let's just go to the store and just, I don't know, I need an excuse to, you know what? Let's just go to the store. Fuck it. Let's drive by the store. Let's just walk around the block. Let's just, right? Because this is a great teacher, man. It's forced you to be grateful because you've worked your ass off to get here. You've earned your recovery. And this is the greatest teacher, because especially OCD looping thoughts looping thoughts are there to keep you to the fire. And you have no choice but to learn this right and to do the work, right? No matter what, it's going to keep you working until you get it fully. And the only way to get it fully is when you get to the other side and you're fully recovered. Right? So use turbo exposures when you need them, because they're a great tool. All right, let's take some questions or see what everybody else is doing. Let's see. Hey, Michelle. How's it going? Look what we got here. Okay. Gabrielle. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, by the way, just in case. I don't think I forgot, but thank you. Love your content. Thank you, CT. I need exposure. Here we go. I've become too content with my usual routine. I still have symptoms, but they are not bad enough to freak me out. That's great. That's huge. Once I break out of the bubble, I realize how much work I need to do. Yeah, look for the fear. Those are your targets. Go towards them. Get uncomfortable. Always get uncomfortable. Always look for new ways to inch out and bring it to that next level to get out of that. Make that circle bigger in life, right? And there's always more work to be done, right? It's for me. Yeah, sure, it took me 3 years, but it was like, okay, 3 years to recover, but I still had to go get a job. Then you get into the world of getting back to life. You're hanging out with friends again. You're being social. You're having alcohol. You're having food. A little bit of partying. You're going to you got a job. You got to deal with all different types of shit that bring you in the swing of life again, and that's another level of recovery, right? Um, and so yeah, just keep going no matter what. Do the 9 pillars. Stick to them, and always inch out. And whatever makes you feel uncomfortable, whatever it's a thought, feeling, symptom, or situation, that's your new target. All right. Thank you. Clump. Rocky. Thanks for joining us. So good, Helmet. Allow. Such great content. Thank you. Such great technique here. Yes, allow is everything, right? You can never, allow too much, but don't sit there and allow in one thing. Here's another thing. We always want to allow, but you need to end the allow with, okay, now we engage and bring it with me on my shoulder, right? You're still allowing, but you're engaging. That's really important, because if there's a certain scary thought, and you're sitting there going, allow, 2 hours, allow 3 or 4 hours, allow, what ends up happening is, right, the brain's, you're going to start ruminating again, analyzing, trying to figure it out, and it goes back into that cycle, and then you start pouring gasoline on it again. So the allowing has a bit of a time limit. Allow something to fully feel it, so that you're fully accepting that energy. You're processing it, right? You're imagining it leave your chest out the back, and then go, okay, now we're moving on. We're going to go cut the lawn, and I'm going to bring you with me, thought, right? And if you're doing the lawn, right, you're cutting the lawn, you're snowing, you're clearing the snow, whatever, right? You're clearing or cutting the lawn, like that one better. And you need to pull over a little bit, because this one thought needs a little bit more time. Pull over, let go of the lawn, and go, all right, let's go focal point that tree. Let's go, thought, feeling, symptom, whatever it is, allow it. Engage. Okay, that's a rough one. That's scary. Okay. Yeah, now let's go engage. Yeah. We got to engage. So you turn the lawnmower on, and you're back at it. You're bringing the thought with you, right? You're making sure you're paying attention. You're cutting the lawn properly, right? You're taking the bags off, and you're putting the grass in the bags, and then you're right, and you're like, okay, I need some gas. You know what? I'm going to take a second, because this thought needs more attention. All right, thought, before I get gas, show me what you got. Symptom, thought, feeling, whatever it is. Okay. All right, now let's go engage. I'm going to bring you with me. So it's important to give it a bit of a time limit, and then go engage, because you're still bringing it with you, right? The resistance is gone there, but you need to engage, because if you don't engage and you sit there trying to allow a thought for 5 hours, you're going to refire that trauma loop, and you're going to start putting gasoline on it again, and you're going to ruminate and be stuck again. We don't want that. So give it a bit of a time limit, right? And then engage, and just repeat that process, right? So get out there, get uncomfortable. It's going to suck. That's the thing with getting out in life and allowing and doing. You're not doing it. Here's another thing. Yeah. Don't allow to get rid of whatever it is that you're trying to get rid of, thought, feeling, symptom. Don't go, okay, I'm allowing you so you can fuck off. Don't do that. If you're trying to get rid of something, the brain goes to get rid of what? Danger, keep the alarm on. Keep that symptom going, because I don't know, right? Allow it to be there authentically, with no strings attached, no small print, right? I hope you're here for another year. I don't want you to go anywhere. You better stay here for another year. And if you're not here tomorrow, I'm gonna be pissed, right? And if it's gone tomorrow, I'll be pissed. Be like, where are you? Thought, feeling, something, whatever, fill in the blank. That's where you got to make sure you allow authentically, no matter what. We're not doing this to use the allowing as a weapon to get rid of, right? We're trying to get rid of the fight, because when you get rid of the fight, it brings the baseline down and you get less of what you don't want, which is those alarms, right? And the looping thoughts. That's the goal, right? So here's another one. How can I do turbo exposures? I find that it makes it worse times a million and I get stuck in it. Well, you're allowing, you're bringing up what you're fearing, right? So you're visually doing the exposure. So if there's something physically that you're scared of doing, do it visually first and do the turbo exposure. You're bringing it up. You're going to feel a 10 out of 10. That's the goal. You're supposed to feel like shit. You're not doing it because you want to, you're not doing it because you're expecting any sort of relief out of it. In order to change the association of an alarm and update it, you need to feel the alarm. And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to feel good, right? Because it's an alarm. It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable. So you will feel triggered, right? So you got to start there, fully be scared and triggered, allow it to be there, and it will drop with the exposure and with no white knuckling. Don't white knuckle through it or survive through the exposure. Don't be like, yeah, and then I'm in the field, and then the tick bites, right? When you do that, you're reaffirming that you're in danger. So the thought will stay dangerous. So what you need to go is, I'm walking in the field, and yeah, I'm scared that I'm going to be bitten by a tick, right? So don't survive or white knuckle through it. Surrender through that thought and engage. And then eventually the brain will be like, okay, we did enough exposure to it. We know that it's not dangerous. Let's move on to a new thought that's scary, right? And it'll find something else. It has to, because you're not out of the woods yet. You're still in a survival state. All right. How's it going? Heal. And here we go. Could it ever be vitamin deficiency? Well, usually when you're in a state of fight or flight, your body's not absorbing things correctly. So there's all kinds of things happening in your body, right? When you're in a survival state. And it's supposed to be like that because it's just there to keep you alive. Some things are put on hold. Some things are not working to perfect efficiency because it's not supposed to, right? Certain things are put aside so that it can keep you alive. That's it. Eventually, when you change the program out of survival, then things get back into balance. You get all the nutrients back and everything. You don't have to biohack or micromanage or use all these supplements. I always say work with your doctor no matter what. Of course, covers my ass, your ass, everybody's ass. But when you finally get out of survival, right, and run a new program, the body follows suit and everything heals by itself. All right. I find that I have an increase in symptoms when I go to bed. Don't analyze. Let it do its thing. Don't analyze, because it took me 3 years to recover, and I had symptoms come up, new ones, crazy ones at 2.5 years, right? And it's gonna make you think that, why it's 2 years and I'm getting these new symptoms. Why do I feel worse? That's what it wants you to do, because it wants you to investigate for danger. It gives you the OCD so that you can scan for danger, right? We're getting you to investigate and look for the intruder. And it gets desperate to get your attention because, right, we're not out of the woods yet. We're still in that, our buckets are still full. We might not be at 1,000 in the survival baseline. We might be at maybe 700 or 600, but we're not out of the woods yet. So it still has to get your attention. So don't analyze it, try to figure out and fix it. Let it do its thing. Have patience. This journey, you need to have some patience. You're going to learn. You're going to learn to have some patience, because there's no other way, right? You're going to learn. And I understand. I'm like, okay, well, I get the methods now. Why can't I just Why? Okay, I need to live life now. I can't. Why is this? It's actually getting worse. It's making me wait. Like, yeah, that's how you really learn something, right? Is to have some patience and go through what you don't want for long periods of time. That's how you really learn, right? There's the theory part, but there is the going through the bullshit relentlessly, second by second, in the trenches, over and over and over again, right? And then feeling better, and then having all the symptoms come back, right? Just like food sensitivity. I'd have foods coming in back in. I'm like, oh my god, I can eat 20 foods. Oh my god, and then I lost them again. And I have like 2 foods again, and that happened constantly, in and out, in and out, in and out. But you know what? I needed that to happen because every time it goes in and out, it's another opportunity to update the alarm system, to update with new program, right? Every time it's in or out, it's an opportunity, right? To run that new program that we're running. So don't think of it as failures. Think of it as a hard teacher that you need to go through to really learn, and also to create those new neural pathways, and to really really double down on this new program, right? This is how you make it really strong. And they're all opportunities to update. You need them. Love it. Yeah, exactly. Um, Alexandra, happy 2025, everyone. Yes, happy New Year. Lots of okay, so I worked in that medical field. I worked in the medical field and police force before, and having lots of PTSD from it. Yeah, I had lots of PTSD. And you know what? My journey of symptoms were also, I had PTSD. I had things that didn't even make sense were scaring me. Everything was scary. Everything was a trigger. It was fucking crazy. Um, what can I do, and how can I get back into working in that field? You do the journey, do the 9 pillars, do the work every day, have patience, and in time, right? You're going to create a bubble in the beginning, but eventually you're going to come out of the bubble, and you're going to expose yourself to the things that scare you in time, not right away, because that's like putting gasoline on the fire. But you do the work, bring the baseline down, and eventually you're going to expose yourself to the things, right? And then after that, they will not affect you anymore because you've updated the threat to, and you neutralize it. That's how it works. But you gotta, you might notice that certain things take time. You might be working at them over and over and over again, and eventually the brain's like, okay, we're cool, it's neutralized, it's not a threat anymore, and you won't care anymore. But that takes time. All right, I'm doing a lot better and phasing back to work part-time for now. Amazing. I still get wobbles the last a day or two, but not bad. Yeah, that's expected. Those are all opportunities. You need them. How would you advise getting back into exercise now? For me, I'd do. For me, it was walking was my exercise, but I did it because I enjoyed it. I walked 10 kilometers a day, and it was like, and it's not like heavy duty, but if you're consistent, like it's heavy walking. Well, I don't know, walking 10 kilometers a day, in the summer and in the winter, that's pretty heavy duty, I think, actually, because you're exposed to the elements, to the heat, to the different contrasting uh, weather, right? You're going up hills, you're going, you're dealing with it. I think walking is pretty heavy duty. So for me, that was my go-to in the beginning, and it was easy enough to do, just enough, like around the block once, and then eventually this is where it becomes your sweet spot, and eventually you can bring it to where it's 10 kilometers, right? And then you can always find your sweet spot there. That was I didn't do any exercising until I was near, the end of my recovery, and then exercise. I think I was able to, I felt strong. I felt like I could do anything. But sometimes it's better to take a break on certain things to keep things off because you're already overwhelmed with the journey as it is. Like I say to people, maybe you should quit drinking coffee for while you're doing this journey, just so that we take some things off the plate, right? Because it's not the coffee, but when you're in a survival state, it is the coffee. It will affect you. It will be overwhelming. It will that exercise that you do that's too much. It is too much, right? You're trying to reprogram the body and the brain. I'm sorry, the brain. So this is where you have to make the call, right? Is this going to be a little too much? Because the ultimate goal is to reprogram and to fully recover. And then when I'm fully recovered, then we can decide, what are we going to uh, fill up our routine with, right? When it comes to food, exercise, life, work, right? That's when you tweak things out and you bring things in again, and you decide, this is for everything. You're cutting people out, what kind of job you're going to have, what kind of music like everything is on the table now, where you're deciding in, out, in, out. I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. Right. So for me, it's, I don't want to have too much on my plate. So I'm going to take some things off. It's only temporary. Eventually, when I'm fully recovered, I will bring things back. And then if I like them, I'll keep them. So that's how you can kind of deal with exercise, right? If it's not too much on your plate, then do it. Do it. If you like it, do it. Any tips for those who just started DNRS? Be consistent. Do the visuals, right? Don't be wishy-washy, and watch my videos. So anything that you're going to miss on DNRS, you're going to get that with me. That's it. And you're good, right? Be consistent, though. Never miss a day, right? I tell people, never miss a day, but you're being too hard on yourself. You can't be. Yeah, well, I had to be hard on myself. That's how I recovered. I was brutally hard on myself, very disciplined. And that might not work for everybody, right? Other gurus might have like, no, you can't, you got to self-soothe, you can't be. If that worked for them, good. But this is me. This is the way I did it. So be consistent, never miss a day, never. And that's that. How long did it take for you to consistently be able to tolerate foods due to histamine intolerance? For me, around the 3-year mark, right? The first year and a half, all I did was stick to my safe foods. I didn't even deal with training with food at all, right? I was like, I can't, I'm not ready. I'm too sensitive. So I put that on the shelf. Trying to work with food, I just put it on the shelf. And I stuck to my rice and beef and apples. And then when I was ready, after a year and a half, when I was ready, I started training. Sure, I still had flares, but they weren't as severe. And I actually had to drag out flares on purpose. And then around the 3-year mark, I was able to eat all the foods, right? Consistently, and more chili, buckets of chili, love chili, right? Freedom, total freedom. If it seems like I can go a few days to a week and things are good, then bam, yeah, that's normal. That's the whole journey. It's going to do that 1,000 times, and it needs to do that to make sure that it works its way in, right? That's how the brain works. The journey is in and out times 1,000, right? And I think I already talked about that earlier too. Yeah, previous to COVID, I did a ton of jogging and cardio, but for the last 6 months, exercise has been triggered stuff. Don't analyze it. Keep doing the work. Keep doing your 9 pillars. Keep doing the visuals and elevate every day. Do what you can, and don't overwhelm yourself. Just stick to the work, no matter what. Be patient. Eventually, you're going to be fully regulated, and you'll be able to do all the things again that you were doing before, right? But for now, your symptoms are going to come and go. It's going to be confusing. You're going to want to analyze. Don't analyze, because the brain is doing that on purpose to get your attention and to throw you off track, because it doesn't like change, right? And these are also opportunities to update the program. So just stick with it, no matter what. Can a turbo exposure? Can you turbo expose this? Do you need to, or is this just a just say nothing. I love my mom, but she has been trying to control me. Yeah, people, relationship situations, your parents, somebody pissed you off, your wife, your husband said something that triggered you. Especially when you're going through this journey, it affects relationships. It makes things awkward. It makes things blah blah blah. Right. So doing a turbo exposure about it. And there was times where I was doing turbo exposures about situations like that in the family or relationship stuff that would be weeks at a time, right? And I thought, well, this is never going to be a difficult issue. This is never going to leave. I'm never going to recover because it's so fucking triggering, right? But it would, and it would come back, and it would go, and it come back. But I used these tools so that I could bring it down to a 5, so I could do the work, and then you're recovered. And then whatever happens after you recover, you can deal with then because you'll be at a better position to do so. Yes. How long do you think carnivore is a good time frame before testing foods? Um, you'll find out when you test them, right? For me, it was a year and a half until I could, and you'll find out. And if it doesn't turn out that well, then give it another 4 months, right? I didn't like the dnrs program. For me, it worked for about 8 months because the more I healed physically, the more my mental alarms skyrocketed. And DNRS isn't very well equipped with the mental alarms. So I had to jump ship. But the first 8 months was amazing, right? My physical symptoms were just fucking shifting like left and left. It was amazing. And it also brought me into the mind body space, right? It was like the DNRS was like the Walmart greeter to the mind body space. So it was like a stepping stone, right? And then I started really doing the work, right? Finding the other methods and how to tackle the OCD and the mental alarms. And then everything just, it was just a matter of doing the work in time. And then I recovered. So DNRS had its place in my life, and I'm grateful for it, for what it did, because it was, the starting point for me. So yeah, that's really huge. How do you know if certain people are causing major stress in your life? You know, right? If you know the way they treat you, friends, if they talk shit about you, they say they're trying to help you by giving you, all these different things that you should try, but then they're giving you doubt. They're like, no, what you're doing, no, this is not. No, you need to heal the gut. No, this brain retraining, that sounds like woo hoo bullshit. Like don't even, right? Or you get in arguments with certain people that are just toxic. You know who they are. You got to make the hard decisions, right, and cut them out, because this is your movie. This is the end of the day. This is your journey, and you got to think about yourself and recover, right? All right, cool. All right, guys. So I just wanted to step in for a bit. I wanted to talk about turbo exposures and how you can use it as a really good tool to get you so that you can do the work, right? And it works really well. It's a fantastic tool. So turbo exposures, use them when you need them. Use them all the time if you have to. All right, guys. Have a happy new year, and I will be coming on live more often. I'm trying to do 3 times a week. Can you believe that? In the meantime, please hit that notification bell, right? Like, share, and subscribe, but that notification bell is important so that the algorithms, and so you know I'm coming online. So thank you for all the support, and I really appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and let's see what 2025 has in store. And my interview with Dr. Howard Schubiner is live the day after tomorrow. That's the 2nd of January. And when is that? What day is that? Thursday? I think so. Okay, cool. All right, guys, have a good night.